What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull Up and Chat. My name is BJ Mathews, aka B. Just before we get started, follow us on the YouTube page, the Pull Up Basketball Podcast, well, Spotify, Iheartradio, Twitter, TikTok, the Pull Up Basketball Podcast. You know what I'm saying? Like, share, subscribe all of our YouTube videos. Hit that notification bell by the subscribe button, get all updated content. Let's get it popping. All right, check it out. The Lakers suffered another loss last night. I believe they're 27 or 28 and 36 right now, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe they're 28 and 36. They are number 9th in the Western Conference, behind, the Clippers, the Timberwolves, and right in front of the Pelicans. So how do we even describe this season? We go from them being title contenders at the beginning of the year with Brooklyn for the masses, who were, making their predictions, to now the Lakers might not even make the playoffs. They're going to be struggling to get in the playing game, right? How did we get into this? Let's get into it. All right, listen to me. Listen. I'm going to tell you guys, after I watched last night's game and the majority of this season from the Lakers, what their problem is and who's holding them back. We understand Rob Pelinka made the trade for Russell Westbrook. It wasn't the best fit. I said that, at the beginning of the year when they got Russell Westbrook, this would not be a good fit for them because he doesn't fit the style of basketball the Lakers need to win a championship. He's been the guy who's kind of just, better when he's the first or second option on this Lakers team. He'd be the third option behind LeBron and Anthony Davis. So his game's going to struggle, right? We can blame Anthony Davis for being hurt, for being injured for most of the season. But my whole thing is, even when AD was there, he was struggling to get this team over the hump. It wasn't like when you got Anthony Davis, it was like, oh my gosh, they were just somehow a way better team. I mean, sure, you got Anthony Davis on your team. If he plays up to par, he's a top 10 player, in my opinion. I don't think he's top 5, but he'd be a top 10 player. But he hasn't done enough this season to be like, oh, if we had Anthony Davis, this would be different. I don't believe it really would have been much difference because mentally he seemed like he wasn't all the way there. So you had a liability on the court with Anthony Davis, when he faced, certain teams. When he faced Giannis Antetokounmpo that first time and got exposed in Milwaukee, that's when I feel like that was the start of people, questioning Anthony Davis. But that's beside itself. And people are not going to like what I have to say. Certain people, I understand it, but hey, we got to tell it like it is. LeBron James and Frank Vogel are holding the Lakers back right now. I know certain people are going to be like, what are you talking about? LeBron James is doing everything he can. He's averaging 29, close to 30 points. He's 37 years old. He's, playing at a higher level than any other 37-year-old in NBA history. What are you talking about? Why is LeBron James at fault? I'm going to tell you why. Because as great as LeBron James has been doing individually, you got to make a choice if you're going to be individually great or team great. So the reason why LeBron James and Frank Vogel are at fault because it goes hand in hand in their fault. LeBron James the player, Frank Vogel the coach. LeBron's putting up individual stats that are historic great numbers. This is what LeBron James is going to be known for as the GOAT conversation for his statistics. That's what he's been known for his entire career. Wherever he goes, he's going to put up high stats. He's the Wilt Chamberlain of the society, meaning what? He's going to put up high numbers, dominance, and statistics. That's what's going to be his niche, right? But as far as winning, he struggled. And a lot of it's because of his own style of play. When you're a great player, you're supposed to enhance your teammates. But when you get LeBron James on your team, you have to play and enhance him. You have to play on his strengths to make him comfortable. Rather than if you're a great player individually and your abilities and skills, you should be able to set your guys and your role players up who aren't as talented as you. The Malik Monks, the Austin Reeves, the Stanley Johnsons, the Kent Bazemores, the guys on your team that are not as talented as you. You're supposed to get them off first. But to me, what has happened, it seems like LeBron James is trying to get himself off. Now, people may say this, okay, well, if LeBron James doesn't score 40, 50 points, they're going to lose. Nah, not necessarily. When you have a system, and this is where Frank Vogel's gonna come in. When you have a system set in place for your players to win, you don't have to exert your energy so much that you have to score 40, 50 points. The reason why LeBron James ain't playing defense because he's tired on the offensive end. But also that's kind of on him because this is how he's been his entire career, putting up these type of historic numbers. Now people give him a hand clap when he does it, but it hasn't resulted into wins, especially in this season. If he had a system where he was actually where he actually implemented ball movement, ball rotation, flare screens, moving without the ball, you would see a lot more team success coming from LeBron James. His best games was his best play was in Miami because they ran a system. Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley did not allow LeBron James to come in there and just be the focal point of the offense. You had to learn how to play in a real system. That was his best time he was playing in Miami. But I digress from that. Frank Vogel, I tried to shield from using blame from him throughout the entire season because I just was so focused on, Westbrook and him not being a good fit. Well, he was not a great fit. But after last night, you can't put that loss on Westbrook. He played the best out of anybody on that team last night. LeBron James lost that game for them last night. Now, let me get to Frank Vogel. Your job as the coach is to set up your team to be successful. I don't care what your fit is. I don't care what your personnel is. You have a certain group of players. You're supposed to enhance their strengths. You're supposed to expose their strengths, not their weaknesses. Now, there's been a few instances in Frank Vogel in his game plan where I don't understand what he's doing. Number one, you understand your team is not great on defense based on their personnel, their age. Why do you continuously go man to man? Why not put them in some type of zone defense or some type of boxing one or 3-2 defense? You got long defenders, you got big defenders. They don't have to exert themselves on a man-to-man defense. Playing a team like Houston, they're going to run you down the court. You're going to put so much pressure on the defense on the Lakers to play defense where they're just not gonna have it. After every press conference when they get beat by a team, all you hear is Frank Vogel talk about is, well, we have to play harder. We played hard, we just gotta do better. Yeah, you gotta do better, but you gotta make adjustments as well. And it's for me, it doesn't make sense for you guys to be playing man-to-man defense. You can play zone in the NBA. So I don't understand why he switch it up. And as far as his offense, there's no offensive rotation. There's no moving without the ball. There's no moving with the ball. There's no flare screens. There's no nothing. It's a 5-out offense where everybody's standing around and just waiting to get the ball from LeBron or Malik Monk or Westbrook. Your turn, my turn. And you just standing in the corner waiting for a 3-point shot. That makes you so much easier to guard rather than you having some type of movement and everybody touches it. Right? So that's all coaching. And I don't believe Frank Vogel. I think he's sold out on this team. I think he's done. He's given up on his team much as LeBron has. When they tried to replace him with Fizdale, the Lakers front office and all that, I feel like that was his cue. Like, okay, this team is giving up on me, so I'm gonna give up on them. Because there ain't no way in the world Frank Vogel is this bad of a coach. He's a very good coach, but he's checked out as much as LeBron is checked out. So they're both getting in the way of their team's success. LeBron James' style of play is not enhancing with winning, it's enhancing with him getting his numbers. Because you shouldn't be getting these many shots, man. Carmelo Anthony, he can hit shots. If he's a scorer, Carmelo Anthony is a scorer. Yes, he missed the last minute shot last night, last second shot in regulation, but all in all, as an overall, he's a scorer. He's a top 10 scorer of all time. You have to make him a scorer and enhance his strengths. Run plays for him. Because if you get him more shots, it's going to fuse Carmelo to play better defense. He hasn't been horrible on the defensive end, surprisingly, Carmelo Anthony. If you give him more shots, that's going to fuel him to get more shots and play better defense. Russell Westbrook can be used to drive to the basket as he was doing last night. They could not stop Westbrook going to the basket. It's just that all these different media pundits who don't know nothing about basketball just want to blame Westbrook. He's hearing this all throughout every morning on these sports shows or whatever, how it gets to him. And again, it's not even real analytical data, like truthful data. It's just narrative out there. They just want to put it on Westbrook. But you couldn't put that loss on him last night. He was playing the hardest and he was playing the best. Malik Monk is a good piece for what he can do, drive and shoot, even though he's a streaky shooter. Austin Reeves is a great hustle player. Stanley Johnson is a great defender. The tall African dude for the Lakers, I forgot his name, but he's they signed him to a two-way contract. You know what I'm saying? You gotta utilize these guys. I know it's not the best situation, but it seems like to me Frank Vogel ain't making no type of moves. He just been giving up on his team, let them play street ball. So yeah, again, Frank Vogel and LeBron James are the ones getting in the way of this team's success. And what's crazy is they still got a chance to make the play in. Now it's either they're gonna get out their own way and get out their feelings and actually play and actually coach how they're supposed to coach, or they're just gonna continue to throw a pout in a fit and be like, you know what, we're not gonna make the finals and whatever. So this season's over. So I don't know what to say about it. Those are my thoughts, my sentiments. They're gonna blow this team up. They're gonna blow this team up. And my last point, you know how I know it's not coaching makes a difference because if Ty Lue had this team, they'd be top 4 in the Western Conference right now. So coaching matters. What he's able to do with that Clipper team with less talent and not their 2 stars, don't tell me coaching don't matter. Don't tell me that a coach can, with the right system and scheme, can actually make it beneficial for all the players. But at the same time, the players have to be, they fall behind LeBron. So if LeBron done checked out, the rest of the team is going to check out. So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Continue to follow us on social media. The Pull Up Basketball Podcast. Like, share, subscribe. Pull up a seat, pull up a chair, pull up. Peace. Out here like swimwear.